Alright, for this video I want to go through a sample form 1040NR filing for the 2024 tax year. So we've got the return in front of us. We'll go through the whole return, all the required schedules, and we've also got some additional pieces here. We've got a K1 for this individual's investment in a U.S. partnership. And in addition to that, we've got one slide here covering some background on the fact pattern that we're going to be working with, and then some notes on 1040NR filings for this type of situation. So if we start with the fact pattern here, we've got Jacob Doe. He's a UK citizen, but he's currently living in Qatar. He makes an investment of $65,000 into a restaurant business that's in Sarasota, Florida. Now the restaurant is set up as a multi-member LLC, so that means there's more than one owner, and it's treated as a partnership for federal income tax purposes. So the LLC is going to file a Form 1065, and it's going to give a K1 to each of the members. Now, given the activities in the U.S., the business is considered engaged in a U.S. trade or business, and it generates gross effectively connected income with that trade or business. And we'll talk about more later why that's important. Now, the business for 2024 generated $300,000 in net profits, and of that, $15,000 is allocated to Jacob. So his $65,000 investment got him a 5% equity interest in the company. Now, because this is a partnership and it's engaged in a U.S. TOB with ECI, the allocations of U.S. effectively connected income to any non-U.S. partners are subject to withholding taxes, and this falls under IRC Section 1446. The partnership reports all of this information on Forms 8804 and 8805. Now, the net ECI allocation to Jacob of $15K is going to be subject to a maximum individual tax rate of 37%. So on his $15,000, the withholding tax that the partnership is required to pay is going to be $5,550. So when the partnership makes an estimated payment with its 8804, it paid $6,000 to the IRS. Now now that was just an estimate for the partnership, and then after they do their actual books and figure out how much income is allocated to Jacob, they determine that, okay, he's going to be liable for that $5,550, but we paid in $6,000, so the partnership gets a refund of $450. Now, the $5,550 of withholding tax that was paid to the IRS, Jacob gets credit for that on his 8805, and it's also recorded as a distribution to Jacob on line 19A of his K1. All right, so some things to keep in mind with these 1040NR filings. So when we have non-residents, they are subject to U.S. taxes really one of two ways. So the first one is if the non-resident receives any U.S. source FDAP income. So FDAP income is portfolio income. So FDAP means fixed, determinable, annual, or periodical income. And so common items are U.S. source interest, dividends, rents, royalties, and things like that. The second way non-residents are subject to tax, which is the fact pattern here, is if they receive any income that's effectively connected with a U.S. trade or business, and that's what we have in this scenario. Now, when non-residents are partners in a partnership, like we have here, the ECI is subject to withholding tax at the partnership level. It's 37% is the rate for individuals, and then you have a 21% rate for foreign corporate partners. And all of this information is, again, reported on an 8804 and 8805. Now, really important to remember here that the 8804, 8805 filings and the 1040NR, it's required if the non-resident has gross ECI. So even if partnerships have net losses, if they have any gross income that's effectively connected, they're still supposed to file the 8804 and 8805. There might not be any withholding tax required because there's no profit, but the filing obligation still remains. And then lastly here, the QBI deduction. So qualified business income deduction under 199 Cap A is a 20% deduction available on pass-through income. Now, most of the time, you see this very often with U.S. taxpayers. They take this QBI deduction on their 1040. But if you're a non-resident and you're filing a 1040-NR, you'll still get this deduction so long as the income is effectively connected income. And in our case, it is. So Jacob is going to be able to get this QBI deduction. All right, so let's have a look at the return. But before we get into that, let's look at the K1 that Jacob received from this partnership. So we have a 2024 Schedule K1, Form 1065. So we can see here information on the partnership is in Part 1. In Part 2, we have Jacob's name and address. We have his ITIN here. So he applied for an ITIN by submitting a W-7. And so he's got his ITIN. It's indicated here that he's a limited partner. So he's not a general partner or member manager. Remember, he's just an investor. He doesn't actively participate in the business. And then if we scroll down here to the capital account rec, we can see the reconciliation of his investment. So he has the $65,000 capital contribution. We have his allocation of income for the year, the distribution that's credited towards him, that's actually the payment for the withholding tax, and then his ending capital account of $74,450. If we go up to the income items, we can see his allocation of ordinary income or loss, and then on line 19A, his distribution amount. And then so box 20, code Z, is a reference to that QBI information. And then attached to his K1, he's got his 8805. So this was filed with the 1065 partnership return, but Jacob also gets a copy because he'll need it to complete his 1040 NR. Now, if we look at the 8805 really quickly, we can see here it's for calendar year 2024. We have Jacob's information here on line items 1. And then in box 5A, we've got the name of the partnership's EIN, and the address. On box 6, the partnership acts as its own withholding agent, so you can enter same and leave the withholding agent's EIN blank. The country code of partner, so he's a tax resident of Qatar. Even though he's a UK citizen, he doesn't live there anymore. He's not a UK tax resident. So Qatar is his tax residency for these purposes. Now, lines 9 and 10, we can see here that the partnership has indicated that he received an allocation of effectively connected taxable income totaling $15,000, and the amount of withholding tax that was paid on his behalf for these amounts was $5,550. All right, so let's have a look at the return and start going through all of these pieces. So we've got 1040 NR for the 2024 tax year. Jacob's got his name, address, and his ITIN up here. The digital assets section, he's answered no. He hasn't traded any kind of crypto during the year. And his filing status is single, so he is unmarried. Now, page 1 of the 1040 NR is where we report all of that income that's effectively connected with a U.S. trade or business. So this is the section that we're working with. But this information flows through from other pages, so let's look at the other pages first. So in Schedule E, so let me jump down to Schedule E. So Schedule E Part 2 is where we report that income or loss from partnerships and S-Corps. So we've got the name of the partnership. We've indicated it's a partnership here. The partnership's EIN. And in the passive income section, we're reporting the passive income of $15,000. So remember, Jacob is not an active participant in this business. He's just an investor. So these earnings allocated to him constitute passive income rather than non-passive income or loss. So we've got his $15,000 of income there, and then that total will flow back up to Schedule 1 on line 5. So we've got Schedule 1, Part 1, line 5, income from partnerships totaling $15,000, and ultimately that flows back up to page 1, line 8. So we've got the page 1, line 8, additional income from Schedule 1. All right, now let's have a look at the QBI information. So if we take a look at the QBI information, so Form 8995, we've got the name of the partnership, the EIN, the amount of qualified business income or loss, and if we complete the calculation down here, right, we multiply the total by 20% on line 14, that is, and we arrive at a $3,000 deduction. So if you take 15K times 20%, he gets a $3,000 QBI deduction, which is ultimately reported back up on page 1 of the return. So we've got line 13A, QBI deduction of $3,000. Now that Jacob has completed all the income information, got his QBI deduction, his total taxable income is $12,000. Now, remember, the withholding required is the maximum individual rate, which is 37% for this current year. The 37% doesn't mean that's going to be his effective tax rate. He still has to figure out, based on this amount of taxable income, how much tax do I actually owe on that based on my filing status. So you can look up the tax tables. If you're using software, it makes it easy for you because it's all automatic. But you can find in the form instructions, they have the current 2024 tax tables. So the way these tables work is you scroll through, you find out how much taxable income you have, and based on your filing status, it'll give you the amount of tax owed. So he has $12,000 in taxable income. So if we scroll on down, we can see here, line 15A, taxable income. If it's at least $12,000 but less than $12,050, and you are a single filing taxpayer, the tax you owe on this is going to be $1,211. So that's the amount of tax that Jacob reports on line 16 as his tax liability. So if we're looking at this high level right now, remember we had $15,000 of income. We had withholding of over $5,000, $5,550. That's the required withholding. But the actual amount of tax we owe based on that income is only the $1,211. So in this case, Jacob's going to get an income tax refund. So in the payments section, we have payments, line 25, forms 8805. We record the $5,550 of credit that Jacob gets for what's reported on the 8805. So 1211 in tax, 5,550 in taxes withheld, and then Jacob will get an income tax refund of $4,339. So this is why the withholding rate is set so high, because this is why it's also so important to file the return, because it incentivizes you to file the return, report the income, because you very often will get a refund, because not too many individuals find themselves in that very high effective rate of 37%. Now, in addition to these pieces, you also need to complete Schedule OI. So Schedule OI with the 1040NR, we can see here that Jacob, question A, he's a citizen of the UK, but he's a resident of Qatar for tax purposes, and then answer the remaining questions, right? So he's never a U.S. citizen. He was never a green card holder. His immigration status is not applicable, basically. He's not present in the U.S., no U.S. immigration status, and he's never changed his visa type. If you're traveling to the U.S. at all, you should be entering the dates you entered and left. And the reason why they ask for that information is because if you're in the U.S., too many days during the year, you could become a U.S. tax resident. In this case, Jacob never traveled to the U.S., and so on item H, he's indicated that he was not in the U.S. at all during 2022, 3, or 4. All right. Now, he hasn't filed an income tax return in any prior year, so this is the first year he's filing. He's not filing for a trust and compensation. He's not receiving any comp of $250 or more during the year. All right, and that's the end of the form for Jacob under this fact pattern. If you're claiming treaty benefits, you would complete item L. If you had a 1040NR and U.S. real property, you might make an election under 871D. to treat that as U.S. source ECI, because rents are actually FDAP income unless you elect otherwise. Not applicable in this case because he doesn't have a U.S. rental property. He's just invested in a U.S. business. All right. And then lastly, Jacob would want to include as an exhibit or an attachment to the return his 8805. So this is important because it confirms that he did receive it from the partnership, and it evidences the amount of ECI and the amount of withholding that was applied against that ECI allocation and how much he's getting credit for. Okay? Okay, so that covers it for this return. Hopefully that was helpful. Thanks so much for watching. Please, like the video if you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you.